What's up guys? Welcome back to David's Feed. In this episode, we're taking another look at David's personal snake collection and getting hands-on feeding his true cobras. There's many awesome and deadly species, so enjoy.
Welcome back guys, what's up? As announced in a previous video, we're going to be doing a series of episodes here with my own collection due to being stuck in Europe because of Corona at the moment. So 2 weeks ago we showed you Steve, my king cobra. This week we're going to focus on a few of my other cobra species that I have, which are actually true cobras, because king cobras are not really true cobras, but I also have a whole bunch of true cobras in the Naja genus. So if you come over here, we're going to be feeding these today. And the first one we're going to be feeding is this juvenile monocled cobra. Let me just find where he is. He or she, I'm not sure of the gender of these yet. There we go. As you can see, he grabbed it immediately. I'm going to try hold it above the substrate so that it doesn't get covered in soil. It's not really harmful if they ingest a little bit of soil or substrate, but somehow it just feels wrong and bothers me. So I'm going to hold it while he eats. Usually he eats pretty fast. Gonna let him finish that up, and I will proceed to move his hide and cage decoration back in place. There we go. And now we're gonna move on to his sister or brother. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I think this one's the female. And oh, you can see. Oh, got some attitude from this one. There we go. Monocled cobras are native to some parts of India, all over Thailand, Malaysia, as well as some parts of Vietnam, and I think perhaps even some parts of Indonesia, but I'm not sure on that. Anyway, typically they are black or very dark brown with that very distinct white circle on the hood, which is why they're called monocled cobras. But you'll notice that these are actually very light and have more of a spot on the hood rather than the typical monocle. That's because these are actually a very specific locality. These are from a place in Thailand called Mae Hong Son, and from that locality they are a lot lighter like this. And these ones, when they get to adult size, they're also known for being quite good at spitting. So when they get bigger, I'm probably going to have to be a little cautious of that, although juveniles, there's no danger of them spitting at me. Because even as adults, they're very bad at spitting, because monocled cobras are not really true spitting cobras, like Siamese spitting cobras, for example. So they can spit, but even an adult can only spit for about, like, I don't know, 30 or 40 centimeters. What is that in feet? Like 1.5, 2 feet? I actually have a video from when I was at Chris's house where a monocled cobra spat me in the eye. I'll put a card right up in the screen to link to that video if you want to see it. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the African cobras. I have 2 species of spitting cobra and 1 species of African cobra which cannot spit. Oh, look at Steve, he's just curled up on top of his hide. Anyway, we're not feeding him today. We're going to feed this one now. This is a snouted cobra. Let's see where he is. He is in there. I'm going to feed him on the floor just to get you guys the best view possible. Oh, I have to be careful with this one because I believe that his eyesight is not good at all and he will bite things that move thinking he's being fed. Is one of the larger cobras I currently have, although he's not even near his full adult size. They can get a lot bigger than this, so this one's only a sub-adult. Just grab the rodents and the forceps. Probably already smell that there's rodents around, so I have to be extra careful. Start out with this. Wait, let me move forward a bit where there's a bit better light. Unlike some of the Asian cobras, snouted cobras do not spread a very wide hood, so you can see when he hoods up like that, there is a hood, but it's by no means as wide and impressive as those of Asian cobras. Let's see if he's in the mood to be fed. Normally I feed him in the cage, so he may be a little confused right now. But once he gets feeding, he always has a very strong response to food. There we go.
Hey guys, Rupert here, quickly to announce that we've just made a Patreon. Subscribing to it will massively help our ability to film more videos, and it also gives you neat little benefits like being able to have one-on-one chats with us and an activity feed with regular updates on what we're doing and filming. The link is in the description. We really appreciate the support, guys.
As I mentioned earlier, this is a snouted cobra, native to southern Africa mostly. They were actually previously believed to be the same species as the Egyptian cobra, and that used to be their common name. And they were just considered as Egyptian cobras, or Naja HIGHL, but then they were actually separated from that species and were made a species of their own, which was the snouted cobra. And their Latin name is Naja annulifera. These come in a variety of colors as well. This is the most iconic color for the species, this black and yellow banded, but you also get complete brown or even almost black ones. They're also very closely related to the extremely rare Antitas cobra, which unfortunately I don't have, but they're extremely rare and hard to get a hold of. Cobras have a really fast metabolism, so they eat quite a lot, and especially since this one isn't fully grown yet, I'm giving him a little more than I would if he was at his adult size. Look at that. Very typical feeding response for a cobra. They're always very eager, active hunters. why I was saying earlier that I believe he has very bad eyesight, because a lot of the time when I'm feeding, he will just strike in the complete wrong spot. See? And while he's eating, I'm just going to carefully migrate over here and get some paper towels. Order to clean this mess. Before it dries. If you look from up above, you can see he has these really large scales. And in general, the whole body scales of these are a lot larger than of most cobra species. We're just going to wait for him to finish swallowing that, and then we'll move him right back into his tub. Go under there and lift him. There we go. I'm gonna bring him back over here. Into his tub. Now we're going to go over to the zebra spitting cobra, Naja nigricinta. This is the normal Naja nigricinta. There's also a subspecies of these, which is Naja nigricinta woodeye, which is pretty much the exact same snake, but they're completely black. Now, although this is a spitting cobra species, this individual is very well behaved and doesn't spit, so there's no need for me to wear glasses for this specific individual. This is the joy of keeping cobras. They manage to poop absolutely everywhere. Like you can see here and there, and even, oh, he already thinks there's food. Anyway, let's get him out. As you can see, he's already trying to bite the hook. And he's really got himself. There we go. I should have just done this from the start to get him out from his hide. There we go. Look at him, I bet he's going to try bite the hook again. Anyway, let's bring him out onto the floor. This one is a lot more predictable than the snouted cobra, and it's also a much smaller species. This one is just about full grown. They can get a bit bigger than this, but not a lot bigger. You can see underneath their neck they have that. Let me just see if I can carefully get a grip on him to show you. Underneath their neck they have that beautiful black neck, which is visible when they hood up. There we go. So, see how he's flicking the floor? You can already smell the scent of rodent from the previous feeding. The common name of these is zebra spitting cobra, but they have an alternate common name, which some people call them by, which is the western barred spitting cobra. So if you hear someone say western barred spitting cobra or zebra cobra, they're both referring to the same snake. You can see just how long their stomach is by, look, you can see that the mouse that he just ate is already in this portion over here, which is probably over halfway down the body, so they really do have a long stomach, being able to accommodate for very large and a lot of food. Because sometimes in the wild, when they come across like a good opportunity, like a whole nest or a whole burrow full of rodents, they'll eat sometimes up to like 6, 7, or 8 full-grown rodents at a time, which will then last them for a couple weeks. Okay, so let's bring him back to his enclosure. Let go of my hand. Look at him, he sees my hand. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the red spitting cobras. I actually have a pair of those, but before we do that, we should equip ourselves with glasses. There we go. So I actually have a pair of these in here, a male and a female. The female is the larger one, the male is smaller, and the male is a lot more brightly colored than the female. The female is almost sort of like a dull reddish brown, whereas the male is actually quite brightly colored. This is the female. Because there's 2 in here, they could actually consider each other food, because if they smell food, they're going to go into feeding mode, and then if the other one goes near it and moves, they could end up biting each other. So for feeding these, I'm going to separate them. I'm going to move the female into a tub for feeding while I feed the male in his enclosure. Hello there. Anyway. So this is the female, the more dull of the 2. I'm going to bring her over to the table and put her inside this tub. You can see she has a tiny bit of rub marks on the top of her nose. That's because from her old cage she kept trying to force herself out. But now since I've moved her in the tub, that is healing up nicely. Anyway, so I'm going to put her in here. I'm going to get a rodent. There we go. There we go, see? Perfect. Put the other one in here already, which she can eat when she's finished. And we're going to close this. And while she eats, we're going to go feed the male. Alright, let's see if we can get the male interested. Alright, he seems to be hiding rather than in feeding mode, so we're going to carefully get him out. See if we can't interest him in some food. There we go. That was easy. Okay, so he's just started to swallow. This male, for some reason, every time he bites onto food, he just sits with it in his mouth without moving for about a good 2 or 3 minutes before he proceeds to swallow, whereas the female, she always just swallows right away. Get the second Look at Mr. Rattlesnake just chilling there. Look how gentle he just took that. Anyway, I'll leave him to that for a moment. And we're gonna do a quick check how much progress the female is making. And she eats a lot faster than him. So it's no surprise she's already just about finished her second one. Alright, so they're both done now. We're going to get the female and put them back together and make sure that they don't try to bite each other. Come on. I really hope the male isn't still in feeding mode. Doesn't try to bite the female. Okay, this is good. You see in there, the male and the female, they just sniffed each other and they haven't bitten each other, so now I can safely put them back. Oh look, the female is drinking. Okay, she was anyway. Now I know that they're not gonna try to eat each other, so we can forgot their hide. Well, their little decorative thingy. Alright, well, thanks for watching. That was it for today. And stay tuned for more. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of more snakes that we haven't shown yet, like my big boy canebrake rattlesnake, and many more, which will be featured in future episodes. So if you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Look at this real quick. The zebra cobra is just crawling around in her enclosure, and right next door, Steve is just staring her down. He's literally looking straight into her enclosure, watching what she's doing. Oh, now he spotted my hand. So curious. And we're actually getting a little hood, which is rare from Steve. Oh, if the camera will focus. There we go. And he's back into normal. Anyway, that was that, and see you next time.